What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. And today, guys, we are here for World's Biggest Collectors, episode 51, the show where we bring on the biggest physical media collectors in the YouTube and social media spaces. And today, guys, I am very excited to have on my good friend, Dell from Dell on Movies to talk about his collection growing up watching Kung Fu movies, Bruce Lee movies. We really get into Dell's passion for Kung Fu in this conversation. We just have a lot of fun stuff that we talk about in this episode, and I'm so excited for you guys to check it out. Definitely go check out Dell. He is newer to YouTube. He just got started midway through last year. He has a great channel with some great collection-based content. He also does a lot of ranking videos as well. So just a great guy, a great dude. Go check him out over on his channel. I will link his channel and his Instagram and all that good stuff down below in the description. So here it is, episode 51 with Dell on Movies. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's do it. What is up, everybody? Welcome to World's Biggest Collectors, episode 51. And I have with me today Dell from Dell on Movies. What is up, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing today, Kenny?
I'm doing great, man. I got you joining me for World's Biggest Collectors. I'm really digging doing these, pre-recorded versions of World's Biggest Collectors. I feel like I can kind of get into the collector psyche and mindset a little bit more. So that's what we're going to do today. Just kind of dive into you as a collector, your history with collecting and all that good stuff, and just get into what type of collector you are. I see you have a lot of cool items behind you back there. I see that Shaw Scope collection right there, front and center. I know you're a big Kung Fu fan. So yeah, I'm excited to talk to you, man. Do you want to tell the folks a little bit about yourself before we get started, what you're all about over there at Dell on Movies?
At Dell on Movies, I do a lot of videos where I do a lot of ranking videos, top 10s, top 25s. We just did top 25 of the 90s for Tim Talks Talkies, and do some hauls. I don't really go out and do the Tuesday Blues Day thing, but I do tell people what I have bought. And the big thing is the movie swap. I've been doing that for a couple of months now, where I have other collectors on. We make each other watch a movie that the other person has never seen before, and then we talk about it.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, that's a great series you got going on your channel. You do that mostly Tuesday nights, right?
Correct.
Tuesday nights around 8, 9 o'clock. So yeah, definitely, everybody go check that out. I will be leaving Dell's links to his YouTube channel, his Instagram and all that stuff. You are relatively new to YouTube. You just got started probably midway through last year. Around that time.
Yeah.
I would say
May, June. I'm not looking at my YouTube account right now, but yeah, somewhere in there.
But I feel like you've been, in the community for a while. I feel like I've, seen your names in the chats, in the comment section. We've been interacting for a while. So it's good to have you join into this space and, put a face to the name and get to actually interact with you. How have you been enjoying the YouTube and making the content so far?
I've been having a blast. I love talking about movies. And if your life is anything like mine, I mean, you have people and friends that they like movies, but that's not an all the time conversation around them.
They like movies, but they don't like movies.
Yeah,
like
exactly. So, conversations about movies with them, they're usually pretty quick, pretty short, and it's what they like, and that's the end of it. So I really like the interaction back and forth with other YouTubers and getting to hear their opinions and just see how they collect other collectors, because there's really no other collectors that I interact with on a personal level.
Yeah, when you're having those conversations with people in your normal everyday life, it's usually regulated to like what's new, what like just came out. You don't really get to like deep dive into all this stuff. I feel like
exactly
with YouTube, like we've been watching movies like our whole lives, and we have all this knowledge and we have all this passion for it, but we had like no outlet to like get it out, and now we're just all like together talking about it and talking about our favorites and ranking stuff and having conversations. So now you finally feel like you get to put all that passion to good use.
Exactly. So, get to enjoy it with other people.
Yeah, that's the way I always kind of view YouTube and stuff. It's just an outlet for what was before just kind of suppressed for me. I just, went to my job and knew I liked movies, but I didn't know what to do with all the knowledge that I had.
Right.
But look, let's I want to get into some of your, what movies you've been watching recently. What have you been into lately? What Blu-rays you've been picking up, some of that kind of stuff.
So last few movies, I've been busy going to the theaters the last few weeks, like everybody else. I mean, Creed 3, Ant-Man,
Theaters are back, ain't they?
yeah, Scream 6. Just went and saw that, and I just went and saw something the other night. Now I'm
Have
drawing a
have you have you
total
seen
blank.
John Wick 4 yet?
That's the what I just saw. Yes, John Wick 4. I had a blast watching
Did you
that.
like it? I really want to go see it. Like my wife hasn't watched any of the John Wick movies, and
Got to show
I
one
want to
through
take my
three.
son. I need to get him to watch the other ones, but
Yeah,
I
that's
really
what
want to get out and see it.
sounds like a family marathon, 1 through 3.
I know it. I know it. I don't know. I don't know how it is for you. Do you have a tough? You have kids, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't want to assume, but I imagine is it harder? Do you have a harder time as I do getting your kids like into movies and TV shows, or do you find that's pretty easy for you?
Well, now my kids are adults, so I don't worry about it as much. I don't try as much.
Yeah,
But over the course of their lives, you figure out which ones are kind of into the same things you're into and which ones are not. And so
yeah,
I have three. I have three. And my youngest daughter, she's the movie buff of the group, so I can get her to watch most anything, and she'll bring things for me to watch. And my older daughter, she's kind of selective. She's picky and choosy. She'll watch some things and not watch others, but she's kind of got a narrow niche of stuff that she really likes. And then my oldest son, he's just like, well, I'll watch it whenever I get to it, so don't worry about me. About me.
yeah, yeah. I just I got my son to watch Terminator 2 a couple of years ago, and he's watched Starship Troopers recently, and I'm trying to get him to watch Predator. He's not a big horror fan at all, which I
Right.
would love to watch those with him, but he's a big scaredy cat. My daughter actually, who's a little bit younger, likes the horror stuff. But I just feel like it's kind of like pulling teeth trying to get them to watch anything with us because they're so into like video games and
Yeah.
watching YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And I just feel like the old guy that's when I was a kid trying to get his kids to watch westerns or something. But
Oh yeah.
in
It,
my
it,
mind,
it
they're
is.
fun movies. Like, come watch Back to the Future. It's a blast.
Yeah, it's exactly like that because you know times change, things change, and that phone is always present. Remember, whenever they want to do something or you want them to do something, their first thought is, well, what's happening on social media? What's happening on
Yeah.
what YouTube videos can I watch while I'm doing this, or who can I chat with while the movie or show is going on? So it's definitely we are definitely the old guys now trying to get them to watch what
Yeah.
we like.
Yeah, and I mean, not even just with them, but I feel like I have a hard time unless I put my phone out of the room. Like, it's hard for me to not be on my phone when I'm like watching a movie. Do you have that same kind of issue? Or are you
I
usually
do.
pretty focused when you watch
No,
stuff?
I do, and one of the things is if I find myself getting bored with a movie, I will pick up the phone as a way to stay awake to help me get through it because especially if I'm watching with my wife, we'll watch a lot of movies together, and
Yeah,
if I feel myself like okay, I'm about to doze off or I'm dozing off already, it's like okay, well I can watch and scroll at the same time, and that'll help me keep me awake. So it's a problem there. But in the theaters, I don't have that issue because you don't have a choice really, and you can
yeah, that's true.
focus in on it.
Unless it's really bad, then you
If
might
it's really
doze off.
bad, yeah, and I've been in some movies where my wife is
Yeah.
she's giving me this kind of things like wake up, wake up,
If
wake up.
you're in there watching Morbius, right? Might
Yeah, that
might
was
doze off. I watched your top 25 or top 22 from last year, right? You did a top 22 for 2022.
yeah the superhero stuff that I watched from
The
2022.
superhero
Yeah,
stuff, and I seen you put Morbius as last, but um, I would probably agree. I'm trying to think of everything I watched last year that might have been the worst. I feel like there was one thing that was worse, but I can't think of what it was. But I didn't watch everything. But The Boys, I do want to get back into because I seen you put that at
Mhm.
number one. I watched the first two seasons, but for whatever reason, I just never felt compelled to start the third one. But
It's
I need to
hard
dive
when
in.
there's so much space between seasons.
Yeah,
That's one thing
I was
I
really into it when it came out.
Yeah, that's one thing that bothers me about like current TV shows. It's they'll have put out all 8 episodes at once or whatever. And even if they do it weekly, it's fine. But then, it's a year and a half before the next season comes out, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, by that time I've either forgotten about it or lost interest, and I'm on to something else, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and also with me, it's I'm so backed up on movies and trying to catch up on
Yeah.
movies and new releases to watch and things like that. It's like TV's like my wife and us thing. Like we'll watch TV together,
Mhm.
and she's not interested in watching The Boys at all. I watched the first 2 seasons without her. I keep trying to get her to go back and rewatch them because I did really like the show and I heard crazy things about the third season. But um, we just we're watching Succession right now. Have you ever watched that show?
I've not. I've seen every time I watch something, the trailer pops up. So, but I haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet. I've heard good things about it though.
It's a good show. Were you a Game of Thrones fan?
I've never seen one
Oh,
episode of Game
man.
of Thrones.
Oh, man.
I,
Do you ever have plans to jump into it? Are you not a big fantasy person?
I'm okay with fantasy. It's at this point, it's one of those things. It's like, do I really have time to catch up with? Was it 8, 9 seasons of it now?
It'd be a lot to try to get, but it's worth it. Well, I say it's worth it. A lot of people do not like the last season.
That much I know, and
Yeah.
if I do start down that road, I'll go in knowing that the last
I'll
season.
say this. Don't watch Game of Thrones. Watch House of Dragon. There's one season, and I think that watching Game of Thrones like enriches that experience for you, but
Okay.
also you can watch it without seeing Game of Thrones because it's a prequel series.
And that's the reason why I haven't, because I was like, well, I never seen Game of Thrones. Can I really get into House of Dragons?
I think you can. It'd be a cool experiment to see if somebody could. I feel like has been a few people that I know that have watched just House of Dragon, but it's
Okay.
very few and far between. Um, okay, let's get into you and collecting. Where does this passion for movies and collecting physical media come from? Does it go all the way back to when you were um, a little kid, or did it start when you were a teenager, young adult? When did it all really start with you with collecting?
Collecting really started before movies. I mean, there was always a time when I was collecting something. I mean, far back as I can remember, pretty much. I mean, started with baseball kid cards when I was a little kid, and then that turned into comic books, and then that turned into CDs when I was in my 20s, early 20s,
Yeah,
and then eventually that turned into movies. And I was always a movie fan, but never really into collecting movies because one, when I was a kid, VHS was so expensive to buy a video. So I would, like a lot of people, tape movies off of TV and things like that. But I wouldn't really call that a collection. Then I started working at Blockbuster part time in, I guess, 2005, somewhere in there. Started working at Blockbuster part time, and then they would do use movie sales, 3 for $20, 4 for $20, depending on the titles. And I just started grabbing some of those, and it just grew from there.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you talk about the VHS and that kind of was a thing. Back in the 90s, getting the tapes and recording them on other VHS tapes, like 6 hour, 8 hour VHS tapes.
Yeah, I go back to the 80s with it. I remember taping, I had a tape that had 48 hours on it and a few other movies, all
Yeah.
from right around that same time frame.
Do you like remember that kind of stuff? Do you remember do you associate like certain movies with other movies because you remember them being on the same VHS tape together
I
back in
used
the
to,
day?
but not so much anymore because
Yeah.
we had so many of them. I can't keep track of,
I
can't
feel like I
remember
had like good
which was
memory of
which.
that like maybe 10 years ago. Like I could remember like what movie was on this VHS, but now I've completely
Yeah,
lost it
man.
all.
I'm getting old, man. I can't remember all that stuff
I
anymore.
do. I remember one. I think I remember two of the three. I think Wayne's World and Captain America 1990 was on one VHS tape together back in the day, and I always had to fast forward through Captain America because that movie sucks. To watch
The
Wayne's
90s
World.
one, it did.
I did watch it quite a bit when I was a kid, though. But it's a very I remember it being like a very dark movie. Like it's a kind of a depressing film.
It,
Um,
it's it's goofy, that's for sure. 'Cause I actually have it up here somewhere,
yeah.
but yeah, it's a goofy movie for sure. And when you're a kid, that kind of stuff is fun. You watch it, and it's like, oh man, I get to see
Doesn't he?
Captain America.
Doesn't he come home and his, parents have been murdered and they're, closing them up in, body bags?
I
And
think so.
I just remember
It's
being
been a
like
while.
traumatized by that when I was a kid. I watched it when I was like 5 or 6. I was like, "Oh my god, that's awful." Um, but yeah, where does that so you collecting CDs and all that stuff. Where does that when did you like get to the point where you would call yourself like, "Okay, I'm collecting movies now. This is what I love. I'm passionate about it. I'm actively collecting." When did that happen for you?
I'd say about halfway through my employment at Blockbuster. I worked there about 2 years, and this was right around the time when Netflix was just getting up and rolling, and Blockbuster was thinking, "Oh, that we've got a new threat on
Yeah.
the horizon." Um, so it was about a year into that, I had bought so many, it's like, "Well, I guess I have a collection now." And,
Yeah.
but it was definitely something like that. I've always been passionate about movies. I've always loved movies ever since I was a kid. It's just didn't always physically have them. And so once I got them to around, I guess around 60, 70 movies, it was like, yeah, well, let's just start getting movies. And so that's
Yeah.
where it was.
Do you still have, your DVDs, like, your first DVDs, or have you, gotten rid of anything?
I've
Do you
gotten rid
keep
of a lot
everything?
of DVDs. I don't really remember which ones were first, to be honest. Um, I've gotten rid of a lot of DVDs. So, but I do have a lot here.
Yeah, yeah,
And I couldn't tell you, like I said, which one was first and which ones weren't.
yeah. Do you do, if you buy, like, a new Blu-ray to upgrade your DVD, do you get rid of the DVD instantly, or do you find it hard to let go sometimes because maybe it has, like, some cool artwork or it's a cool edition, or because DVDs had a lot of cool, it had some cool packaging back in the day, for sure.
Yeah, generally I don't. I'm like, okay, I got a Blu-ray now, DVD can go, or the 4K, whatever came out. And it's like, okay, I'll get rid of that. The only one thing I regret doing that for was the Alien Quadrilogy DVD set.
I had that too, but yeah, I
I
gave it
had that
away.
and I got the Alien Blu-ray set, and then I let it go. And I guess about 2 weeks later, I was like, man, I wish I still had that thing because that thing was gorgeous. It rolled out about 6 feet
Yeah,
long
yeah,
on the floor. But that's the only one. But other than that, yeah, I'm just like once I get something, the upgrade, because what I really want is the movie. I'm not the guy that double and triple dips. I mean, I've got
yeah.
some exceptions here, but mostly it's like, okay, DVDs can go. I can donate it, sell it to somebody, or if it's in bad shape, unfortunately, maybe trash it. But usually, mostly, I just donate it or sell it.
Yeah, I had about, I'd say 5 or 600 DVDs back in 2016, and I gave them all away, or I sold them all to, like, a Half Price Books or something. Um, and I regret it. I do regret it because I had stuff like the Alien Quadrilogy that I wish I didn't get rid of.
Right.
I had, like, a Scream box set and everything else. I don't I kept some of my horror stuff, like the Nightmare on Elm Street box set collection I kept.
So
Um,
I'm the screen box set is funny. I'm on the fence now whether I'm gonna keep that one or not. You talking about the one where it has the little slip over it and you can see the eye?
yeah,
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 I've got that one, and I just started getting the Scream 4Ks. So it's like, man, am I gonna when I get the last one? Because I'm really Scream 3 is the only one I don't have on either blue or
yeah.
4K. So it's like, man, am I gonna when I get Scream 3, am I gonna keep this box set or not? I don't know.
I don't understand why I got rid of it either because I kept the Chucky one. Like I have a Chucky one that's just like it, but it only has the Universal Child's Plays. It has 2, 3, and Bride of Chucky. But I
Yeah,
kept that and I kept some of my other horror stuff, and I don't know why I got rid of the Scream one. But I had the mindset I was going to go digital, and then like 6 months later, I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. I'm going to get into collecting again. And now Blu-ray's hot, so I'm going to get Blu-rays now. Um, but there's a lot of movies. I had all the Kevin Smith movies. I had Dogma and Clerks, and it's like you can't even get Dogma on Blu-ray now unless you pay $200 for it.
yeah, really, it's crazy.
I had the big like Bible edition of Dogma and had this big like 10th anniversary edition of Clerks, and
Hmm.
I just gave all that up. Gave it all up. So I need to ask you this real quick because everybody gets on me if I don't ask the collector how many titles they have in their collection. Like right off the bats, how many titles are in your collection? Would you say just a
All right.
roundabout number?
So if I go barcodes, I always give this answer. It's two answers rather. Excuse me, two answers. If I go barcode for barcode, then it's about right around 1,800
Okay.
total. But if I go actual movie for movie, because you got a lot of collect sets that have multiple movies in it,
Yeah.
it's about 2,400 movies.
Yeah. like that. All those collector sets you got behind you there alone, probably like
Yeah.
40 movies in those,
Yeah,
just for those
exactly.
3 sets. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a good size collection. That's definitely, I'd say, pretty much probably what I got at this point. I haven't counted in a very long time. I think last time I counted was about 15, 1600 or something like that.
Okay. I'm pretty anal about the count, and that when I get something, it's like I'm automatically putting it in. I have a spreadsheet that I use, and then
Oh yeah, you're like that, huh?
I I do it on Letterboxd also, and
I wish I could be like that. I need
I
to
can't
get
help
into
it.
I need to get into the categorizing. I imagine Tony from Basement Blues has full spreadsheets, and
I'm
he's like
sure.
he's like the professor when it comes to that. Um, okay, let's see how many titles. What's the state of your physical media collection right now? Are you pretty happy with everything? Is everything pretty well organized? You say you organize it in the spreadsheet. Do you keep it on the shelf? Anything on the floor?
I have some stuff in boxes because right now I'm doing apartment living right now, so I don't have as much space as I would like. So I've got a bunch that are on the shelves you can see behind me, and there's another shelf behind the camera over there. But then I've probably got another few hundred movies that are in boxes. So it's not quite what I want to be. And hopefully in the future we'll be moving and I'll have some more space to get everything out. But so
Yeah,
I'm not happy with that part, but it is what it is.
yeah. Yeah, I just I had bunches of stacks on the floor, but I finally got my shelf up behind me the other day. Um, so I got everything pretty well organized right now. I was pretty unhappy with it for about a year or so, and now I feel better about it. Let's see. So, um, let me get into some questions, just kind of asking you what type of collector you are. So I have a variety of questions here, but this will really kind of pick out and just how you collect, week to week, day to day, year to year. But are you a day one buyer? Or are you a wait for the sale kind of
Wait
guy?
for the sale generally. I mean, sometimes you get excited about a movie and it's like, I gotta have it day one. Every now and again, I'll do that. But generally, I'm a wait for the sale kind of person. And even secondhand, I'll go out and buy a lot of secondhand stuff, more so than new stuff, to be honest.
I mean, that's the smart way to do it. I mean, I used to go to a lot, of thrifting stores and stuff like that. It feels like they're so picked over now. It's like I can never find anything good anywhere. But I used to find all kinds of good stuff back in the day.
I'm lucky that in the area where I live, there's a lot of secondhand places within a reasonable distance.
Yeah,
So, none of them have been really great in maybe a couple years, maybe 2, 3 years. But if you just pop in to one every few months or so, and it's like, oh, okay, they got a few new ones here, and I can check out what they have.
yeah, yeah. The thing about it is even like taking the used thing out of it, going to thrifting shops. Like a lot of this stuff when it comes out, I've noticed will drop about $5 or $10 within
Yeah,
like the first. You don't even have to wait like 2 months anymore. It's like the first couple of weeks.
first
Stuff
couple of weeks,
is
yeah,
dropping like $10.
yeah, it
Um,
does. It's crazy.
so they're
So,
they're really making a lot of people look like idiots, and what it feels like at this point is they're punishing people for buying stuff day one. Because if you can just get it in 2 weeks for $5 or $10 off, and you're still going to get that slipcover probably, then
but
what's the point?
that's the thing for you guys who are really slipcover fanatics, though. There's
Yeah,
always that threat that if you wait, you're not gonna get that slip, or if you want a steel book, that steel book's gonna sell out in those first couple of weeks.
yeah.
That's kind of the threat of waiting.
And now we've gotten to the point where they'll just put stuff out on the shelf without slipcovers, like
Yeah,
day one. Like
yeah,
Sony's been doing that quite a bit. Spider-Man came out last year, all the 4Ks on the shelf with no slipcover.
did it?
Um, yeah,
Wow,
well, some of them had slipcovers, but the Best Buy I went to and I saw several people do videos, they didn't have the slipcover, and it
wow.
was like day one.
That was one I did buy day one last year. We're talking about No Way Home,
Yeah.
and I actually got it the Walmart exclusive because I wanted that one. That one obviously did have the slip.
Oh, you got the Walmart one? I missed
Yeah,
out on that one. I got the Target one, which I like that one, but the Walmart was definitely the best of them for
yeah,
sure.
I really like that one.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just it definitely gets hard to pick stuff up day one these days, and I'm trying to wait on a lot of the studio stuff. It feels like goes down in price, so I try to the more boutique items and Screen Factories and Arrow Video and Vinegar Syndrome. I'll get those week one just because I want those collector's editions and slipcovers. But
Mhm.
everything else, I'm trying to hold off on because I know it'll drop in price just a few weeks after.
Yeah, yeah, it will in a few weeks, and it's the same movie, usually the same art, same same everything else.
Yeah, yeah. Do you buy a lot of the mainstream releases? You say, or mostly boutique, or would you say it's a pretty good split between the two?
I'd say it's mostly mainstream because again, when buying a lot of secondhand stuff, you don't really come across a lot of. There are I do have a decent amount of boutique stuff, but I'm not one of those guys who has 300 Criterions or all the Scream Factories or all Keen. I'm not that guy, but I have a few from each one. But mostly it's whatever I can find out there, and so I do. It's a lot of mainstream releases.
Yeah. I wish I could be that guy that just hones in on like one boutique collection and just completes it. But it would be nice to have like a complete collection of anything, but I just can't. My eyes are always in like so many different directions. And
For
I'm like
from
trying to check out Vinegar Syndrome and Criterion and everybody. I'm split in so many different directions. I
Yeah,
couldn't
for
possibly
me,
do that.
it's I don't want all the movies in anybody's collection. They're all
I
secondhand.
know you're getting stuck with movies that are not
Yes.
for you.
Yeah, so sure, I love Scream Factory and stuff that I've bought from them, but I don't want everything they put out. It's other at that point it's just taking up space and just for display.
That's how
And
you get
other
stuck with a Bubba Hotep. That's how that
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, and other than YouTube, I mean, I don't have anybody coming to my house to see my collection, so so it's kind of pointless for me.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Which boutique label would you say is your favorite
I'd
out of all of
probably
them?
say Arrow and Criterion are right there for me. They're pretty neck and neck. Arrow has more of the stuff that I grew up with, and I really are more fun titles that I like. And Criterion, I've gotten into more serious cinema, and they definitely have that on lock.
I know you're big into the kung fu movies, and it
Mhm,
feels like recently, Arrow Video has really been diving into a lot of that stuff. Um, I got the Heart of the Dragon
mhm.
right here, which is a Jackie Chan movie. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
A long,
Um,
long time ago.
but do you want to talk about that just for a little bit? Your love for kung fu. Where does that come from? Is that one of your favorite genres that you
Uh,
enjoy watching?
It's definitely one of my favorite, and it really comes from my childhood. I grew up in New York, and if you know anything about New York in the '80s, one of the things was we had Channel 5. Every Saturday afternoon would play kung fu movies from 3 to 5. They play a movie at 3 to 5 o'clock,
Yeah,
and that was kind of the all the neighborhood kids were inside on Saturday afternoon, 3 to 5, which is a big deal in the '80s because we would spend all the time outside. 3 o'clock, everybody was inside watching the kung fu movie, and then by 5:10, after the movie was over, everybody's outside trying to reenact whatever they just saw on the screen in the movie. So we had a blast with that every weekend, and it just grew from there. You watch those movies for years on end, and of course, Bruce Lee. Even before that, I grew up watching Bruce Lee movies. Really, my first theater experience that I can remember was actually Enter the Dragon. It wasn't any kids movie or anything like that.
yeah.
So yeah, he was always one of my idols. And and then after you get exposed to all those other movies, it just turns into oh well, I'm into kung fu flicks now.
Yeah, would you say that's your primary, genre that you is that your favorite?
Probably not. I'd probably say it's I would lump it in with action flicks,
Yeah.
and then I get to include superhero movies in that also. And because I try not to be a person that's kind of pigeonholed into just watching one genre, because there's times when I go months without watching any martial arts movies because I'm just trying to watch a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say if I had to pick the genres, it'd be martial arts, uh, horror, superhero flicks, those three things probably be at the
But it's
top.
it's definitely very nostalgic for you because it goes all the way back,
Yeah.
to your childhood and stuff. So I imagine it gives you some kind of a feeling of comfort when you watch,
Oh,
movies
absolutely.
like that. Me, trying to get more into the kung fu stuff. I watched the Lady Whirlwind movies this year, and that was kind of my introduction. But I need to crack into that Shaw Scope collector's set.
Lady
Is what I need to do.
Whirlwind. I'm not familiar with that one.
So it's Angela Mao
Mhm.
was the star of those, and she kind of, from what I understood, I watched a couple of the special features. She kind of predated Bruce Lee. Like she was in a few Bruce Lee movies with him, and
Mhm.
was kind of the inspiration for Michelle Yeoh, who would come a few years later, obviously. But she was
Right.
kind of back in the '70s. She was kind of big back in the '70s. But those were both good movies. But my only experience with kung fu from back in the day was probably the Kill Bill movies.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Those good movies.
And then you go back and watch like the real kung fu, and I'm like, oh damn, Quentin Tarantino really does just rip everybody off, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're so similar. But I feel like because I
He
was
pays
such a
homage. He
fan,
pays homage.
he does. But I feel like because I was such a fan of the Kill Bill movies, I feel like if I really dove into the kung fu genre, like I would enjoy it because I love those movies so much. But yeah, Arrow's been diving like headfirst into the kung fu stuff. I feel like for the past couple of years. I don't know if they got a license for just all that Hong Kong stuff from the '70s and '80s, but they've been letting it rip with that. And I know a lot of people have been kind of disappointed with their slate because I feel like Arrow's done a lot of horror stuff, and people want them to do more of that.
Mhm.
And they kind of just been more or less diving into kung fu and stuff recently, which I'm sure some people really appreciate as well. But
Yeah, and I mean, you do what you can, and they, like you said, they probably got some sort of deal
yeah, they got
with
some kind of deal because it's like
studios over there.
every
So
month is like a couple more. That's like their main bread and butter at this point.
right, right. And
But
I'm happy with it because I'm a martial arts guy, and I'm I can't keep up. So, but I'm
yeah,
gonna get a few more titles here coming up soon.
yeah. But when they have sales and stuff, you got
Yeah,
plenty of stuff to backtrack and get to for sure.
yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the big question. And you already kind of answered this a little bit, but are you a steelbook or a slipcover kind of guy?
Probably more steelbook. Even though, of course, I have way more slipcovers, but that's just this
Yeah,
is
just because
what it
movies
is.
come with those.
Yeah, movies come with those, and I'm not, but I'm not one. I used to be, but I'm not one that's gotta have the steelbook. But if I have a choice between the two, I'm gonna take the steelbook. The only problem is now the prices on steelbooks just keep going up.
Yeah,
It's
unless it's Lionsgate. They're the
Yeah,
only ones
even
that's
they're
taking
coming
care
up.
of us. They are coming up. I have noticed that. I feel like they don't want people to notice that.
Yeah, because
But it's
they're
like
still cheaper than everybody else.
1999
But
is a steal for what they were putting out
yes,
for
yes,
sure. But I mean that's compared to everything else. So raising it to 21.99 isn't bad, but you do worry about like what's the
Ye-
next step?
yeah,
24.99, and then are you going to
24.99.
go
That's what I
all the
was
way up to
thinking.
$30? Then you're
Hmm.
just like everybody else. But Lionsgate feels like a company that wouldn't, go to that extreme. All their stuff, like across the board, is pretty affordably priced. Like Reservoir Dogs, when it came out on 4K, the slipcover last year was like $13
Yeah,
when it came
yeah.
out. Highlander on 4K was like 12.50, and then they got those Vestron horror collections for like 11, $12. So
That's kind of their lane. They're affordably priced, but they're still giving you quality products. So
yeah,
not everybody's able to do that. So I applaud them for that.
and they're releasing 4Ks of everything. All their new
Hmm.
movies are getting 4Ks, um, and then you got Universal that everything's a Blu-ray. They don't care about putting out 4Ks or anything, which just baffles me. But yeah, Lionsgate they've been killing it for sure.
It's the money deal for Universal because you know 4Ks are not cheap to produce and don't sell
No,
as well as Blu-rays, which don't sell as well as DVDs. So I mean, I get it.
yeah, I mean, you would think a title like Megan or Violent Nights or
Yeah.
Cocaine Bear, like I feel like those would sell good, you know, but I don't know.
They got us collectors over a barrel though, because we complain, we say we want the 4K. We want the top of the line anyway. But when the movie comes out, push comes to shove, we go buy it anyway.
We go buy it. Yeah. I wasn't gonna buy Megan, but my daughter wanted it when we were in the store. Um, so I got it. I spent
It's a
$23 on a Blu-ray, which I hate doing that.
it's a
Hate
fun
doing that.
movie at least. It is.
Did you go see that one? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did go see that one. It was fun.
Yeah.
I took my youngest daughter and I went, and not my youngest, my oldest daughter actually, and I went, and we had a blast with that.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun movie for sure. Fun movie.
Yeah,
It's a good it's one of those good entry points, horror
yeah.
movies. Like take yourself back to when you were a kid. Like
Mhm.
you would have loved Megan, and that would
Oh
have
yeah,
got maybe got you into the horror genre.
it's Chucky all over again. It's basically what it is.
Chucky meets Terminator. I really like the ending of the movie because it reminded me so much of Terminator and Child's
Yes,
Play. Do you do a lot of blind buying?
not a lot, and it's not really on purpose. At least it wasn't before. Um, Now it depends on what kind of movie it is. And I try not to learn too much about movies before I watch them, especially newer movies. But if it's a movie I've heard pretty good things about or has a reputation as being really good, I'll go ahead and pick it up. But I don't do a ton of blind buying. But I'm not opposed to it like some. If I pick it up, if I see it and I was that looks interesting, and I'll grab it. But it's not a focus of mine.
Yeah, like if it's, not too much, you'll take a chance on it. But if you're gonna drop some like real money on something, you want to make sure you've seen it.
Yeah, and that's where buying secondhand helps because I can take a chance on something for $1, $2, $3 as opposed to, yeah, like you said, 20, $30.
Yeah, for sure. Um, do you do a lot of, thrifting, shopping? Do you try to get that in whenever you can or
Yeah,
um
whenever I can, I'll go out there and just like I said, I have a few spots here close by, or not really close, but within a reasonable distance. I'd say 15, 20 minutes, in whatever direction from where I'm sitting right now. And I'll pop in every now and again, kind of on a rotation. It's like, oh, I'll check this one out this week, and next week I'll check these two out, and so on and so forth. And you figure out which ones are better than others, and some just they're like other places they're pulling physical media out, and some still have it. And the only thing about that is it takes a while because you got to kind of dig through things. They're not always organized. So you've got to stand there and kind of going through shelves. There's no alphabetical order with most of those. They're in boxes sometimes, and you just kind of got to pick through. But then there's a few other places. I did a video recently where I went to Ed McKay's used books, and they just have thousands of movies there, and they are very well organized by genre and alphabetically.
yeah, do you have issues picking anything up that has a little rip or tear or anything in that? Or do you try to find the stuff that's pristine? Where's the line that you draw between like what you're going to decide to pick up? Does it have to be in pretty good condition for you to grab it, or can you handle a little damage?
I can handle a little damage because, again, like I said, nobody's coming here to see my stuff.
Yeah,
So, and if I chose to put it on YouTube, I flash it on the camera and I put it away. So I'm not going to get anything that's in just horrible condition.
yeah.
Uh, but I have in the past, as far as the cases go, and I'll just swap out the case. Um, but as long as the disc itself is in good condition, so that's really what I'm looking for. Is the
I tell you
disc
what, I picked up
playable?
some grimy shit before, like in
Yeah.
Goodwill. But I
Oh
bring
yeah.
it home and I wipe it down with a Lysol wipe, and it's as good as new.
Yeah,
Looks great.
it's what kind of damage is on it, or what's the case? Because I'm not really looking
Yeah.
for dirt, because dirt, like you said, you can wipe off. But
You
if
look
there
at
are
the disc
scratches
first
in
and
it,
foremost. Yeah.
yeah, if there are scratches in it, then it's like, no, I don't want to deal with that. But if it's just a bunch of fingerprints and maybe somebody was eating fried chicken or whatever, and they got it all over there and it's stained, I can deal with that. I can wipe
You
that
do
off.
pick some stuff up and you're like, what the hell were y'all doing to get
Exactly.
this case in this condition? Like I got I think it was the movie Tusk, and I got it on Blu-ray with a slipcover, and the slipcover, looked all brown and stuff, and I kind of just
Mm,
figured that was they probably smoked or something, but it smelled horrible. and I wanted to have the slipcover, but I
Mm,
was like, I don't want this in the collection, so I just threw the slipcover away. That's probably one of the only times I'll throw away a slipcover.
I
Um,
understand.
but yeah, yeah. As long as the disc is in good condition, I found The Ringer. You remember that movie with Johnny Knoxville
Yeah,
from back in the day? Apparently,
yeah.
that Blu-ray goes for like $200 or something now.
I didn't know it was
Um,
on Blu-ray. I thought it was a DVD only kind of deal.
yeah, it's on Blu-ray. I found it at a thrift shop for like $2, but I opened it up and there was just scratches all over it. And at the time, I didn't know it was worth anything, so I don't know if I could have got it cleaned up or anything
Yeah,
like that. But that thrift shop's not there anymore. But I kind of wish I would have grabbed it. You know, just if anything, maybe just a flex to be like, yeah, I got it.
yeah, I
Or
got it
maybe
right.
this is only $2, but um, I'm sure they'll re-release that at some point.
The way it's going now, everything's getting re-released now.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. What's some wish list movies? Just speaking on that you would like to see come to Blu-ray or 4K. What's the stuff you've been waiting on for the longest time? We're just not
Um,
getting it.
Dead Presidents is the big one for me. I've really loved that movie, and it's been DVD only forever. It's time now. It needs at least a Blu-ray. And to be
You know who
honest,
did that one? Wait, what studio? Or
uh, who did
I
that
feel
one?
like that would be a Criterion.
It could be.
Like I'd be surprised if, or I wouldn't be surprised if Criterion would did that one.
It could be because, especially since they've done stuff like Deep Cover lately.
Yeah, I was gonna say with Deep Cover, that feels like a movie that's in line with Deep Cover.
This one is this is Caravan Pictures,
I
Hollywood.
imagine that was probably an independent movie back in the day, so
It
there ain't
it
no telling
was,
who's
and
got the rights to it
I'm
now.
holding it up in case
That's a
anybody can
cool ass
actually see
cover
better.
though.
It is. It is.
That's a nice cover.
And but yeah, it's a with the cinematography, it deserves a 4K actually. But that's one. And then there's I did South Central. I did on Movie Swap a while back, and that's another one that should at least be a Blu-ray. Probably doesn't need a 4K, but a Blu-ray would be great. The one everybody wants, True Lies. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Supposedly we're getting it this year, but I think they've been saying that every
well,
year
I was
for the
gonna say,
past 3
how
years.
many years has that been the case? It's supposed this year, and I hate to call you out on it, Kenny, but it's like every so often
Hey, I
I
put
get
it on
Kenny,
there every few months.
I get you yelling at my TV, going, "Hey, True Lies might be coming to Blu-ray."
I do. But look, I don't do it for no reason. It's always when there's somebody that puts something out there. Like the freaking producer said it was coming this
Right.
year, like in a recent video. So look, that's the last time. Until it's announced, I'm never gonna mention again. I'm never gonna mention it again. Supposedly we're getting the Abyss
Yeah,
like
The Abyss is
soon.
another one.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah, they keep playing with us. I don't know what's up with it. I don't know what's up with it. Um, all right, let's see. Any other stuff you can think of? Blu-ray.
Uh,
Does it matter to you that it comes to 4K, or do you just want Blu-rays of some of these at this point?
I think it depends on the movie. For me, I'm a guy that's like it doesn't have to be in 4K if the visuals don't really call for it. And I get, the HDR and more details. I get all that stuff.
Yeah.
But for some of these movies, I don't really need to see the pores in some guy's face that's 20
Oh
feet
yeah.
off the camera for every movie. Like for instance, behind me, behind the Shaw Scope stuff over here, there's a lot of black exploitation movies. Just get them the Blu-ray. There's mostly all DVD. If you get them the Blu-ray, I'll be happy. I don't necessarily have to have a 4K of Cotton Comes to Harlem, something like that. Maybe the exception is a Pam Grier movie, but that's just a personal thing for me. But I would
She's
love
got a
to see
lot of
Pam
stuff
Grier.
from back in the day. Like I would feel like I don't know why they don't do like some kind of big box set
I
with
would
a lot
think
of
they
her
did a
stuff.
DVD box set, and she has a few movies on Blu-ray because I've got a few of them. I know she has a few movies on Blu-ray, and I would think that somebody would be like, you know what, Pam Grier is a name that can sell. Let's do a box set of a few of her movies.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think with all that crap we're getting from some of these companies, like like
Yeah.
Severin and Vinegar Syndrome, and it's like
Oh yeah.
somebody's got to like mine some of this, stuff. Like I feel like a Pam Grier collector set would kill it.
Yeah. Pam Grier set. A Friday box set would be great.
Are any of those? I know the first one's on Blu-ray. What about the sequels?
Ooh, I think the second one is, but the third one is not. I
Yeah.
think that's the way it is.
House Party doesn't have Blu-rays either, right?
No, a house party set, but you really only need the first one. They can keep all the other ones.
I have not seen any of the House Party movies. I
But
have
yeah,
not.
I could see somebody doing a set for that too.
You said you're a horror fan? Did you ever have Jason Goes to Hell on
Yeah.
VHS?
No, not on VHS. I had on DVD. I got rid of it when I got the Scream Factory set.
So my only experience with House Party was the trailer to one of them. I think it was House Party 2 played on the VHS tape of Jason Goes to
Oh
Hell. So I
wow.
remember watching the trailer for House Party 2
I,
right
I
before I watched Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, back in the day, I rented Jason Goes to Hell on VHS, but I don't remember what trailers played though.
That is one thing I do remember. For some reason, I'll remember like certain trailers that played like on certain VHS tapes back in the day because you always had to sit through them or you could
Yeah,
fast forward.
yeah,
But
we can fast forward. Yeah.
Deep Cover played on Freddy's Dead.
Oh wow, you really got a
I
good memory on that.
I remember that because they were both New Line Cinema, I believe.
Yeah, they were.
So yeah, and then you had the Lawrence Fishburne connection because he was in Dream
He was
Warriors,
in
so
Dream
it's kind of
Warriors.
cool. You
Yeah.
had the Freddy connection there. But yeah, definitely just tons of movies tons of directions they could go in. When people say that they're going to run out of movies to release on Blu-ray and 4K,
No,
it's like no, they're not. It's like, do
no,
you all know how many movies there are? So
no.
many.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about why physical media is important to you. Why is owning movies physically your thing?
I like having things to hold physically when I'm that I enjoy. Let me put it that way. When I
Yeah,
enjoy something, I like having it physically to
and
actually
and even to take it a step
grab.
further, like when did that click for you? Like when did you make that decision?
It
Um,
like I was talking about earlier, it clicked right away, going back all the way back to when I was 7, 8, 9 years old collecting baseball cards. And I don't know if it's maybe makes it feel a little bit closer to me. Maybe that's it. Um, you know, yeah, I love watching Reggie Jackson on TV, but hey, I've got Reggie Jackson right here in my hand. That's even better. So
yeah,
then that switched over into all those other things I was collecting, and movies is the same way. And like I said, before I worked at Blockbuster, I visited Blockbuster and rented from them for years and years and years, plus the mom and pop stores that were always around the way. So part of that experience was you going in, walking around for hours and trying to pick things out and actually looking at them and looking at the back cover and trying to figure out if that's what you really want to take home that weekend to watch. And that experience has kind of gone away. And I can still get that without leaving my living room. Really, I can just look around. Well, what do I want to watch tonight? And then I can just kind of browse and see. And there's I gave you a number before, almost 2,400 movies. There's probably 600 that I haven't seen, 5 or 600. So I can
in your
always,
collection.
yeah. So I can always find something, and at my age, I'm definitely at the risk of dying before I see everything. That's for sure.
Does that bother you to think that there's movies back there that you bought that you're not going to get to?
Sometimes, sometimes it does. It's just a natural thing. It's like it makes it feel like, well, what is this all for? Am I wasting everything? Because I know that if and well when I do pass, that this collection just might be going away because it's not one that my wife is into, and
Yeah,
my youngest daughter, she might have some use for it, but she's a modern person.
they'll pick out
Everything
what
is
they're interested in, maybe, and
Yeah,
yeah,
everything is streamed, and also so she loves movies as much as I do, but it's so much easier if you can just pull it up online.
yeah. That is, something I do worry about is this whole like physical thing going to be lost on the new generation, or will there be some kind of resurgence at some point in the future? Because I just feel like we're physical like beings, like we walk and talk in this world. we're not like in the cloud, like we're actually walking, and like our whole lives are based around like physical things that we touch and
Yeah.
feel. And I just feel like physical media is just something that should never go away because it is, something that we can actually touch and put in
Yeah,
to
I don't think
watch.
it will ever completely go away. There's always collectors of something. There will always be collectors of things.
Yeah.
It's just that, where 10 years ago there were lots of people who had DVDs in their house. Now there's a lot fewer, and it's just going to be a smaller
Yeah.
number as we go forward. Um, and that's also with the rise of the boutique labels that we've seen over the last 2-3 years. Also, is they're realizing that it's more of a niche market, and we can kind of pick our audience. We got our audience that likes kung fu flicks, our audience that likes horror flicks, and we'll kind of not just do those things, but kind of focus in, have those be the majority of what we do. And
Yeah.
so if or if you want schlock horror, just go Vinegar Syndrome and so on and so forth.
Yeah, for sure. Um, is it what keeps you, collecting? Like we know what got you into collecting. What keeps you collecting like in this streaming age? What keeps you from just saying, screw it, all this stuff is on Netflix anyway, so I'm just gonna or whatever streaming service. I'm sure you could find some kind of kung fu streaming service.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know any off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's something out there
Oh,
that
they're out
streams
there. Yeah,
exclusively kung fu movies.
they're out. I think there's one. For me, it's like again, it's I want that physical thing to hold, and then we can get into the technical aspects of it where it's streaming, so it's a little compressed and the picture's not quite as nice, and that doesn't bother me as much because I'm not a highly technical guy,
Yeah.
but it is a factor. And yeah, just that convenience and ease of going, okay, instead of scrolling for hours and trying to find something that way, because there's really no connection for me when I just scroll past a thumbnail. And it's like, no, I'd rather go over, pick it off the shelf, and I can find it quicker once I've decided, okay, I'm going to watch that.
Yeah.
Um, as opposed to, okay, having to find out where it's playing. Okay, because if it's not on Netflix, well, is it on Hulu or is it on Peacock or is it on this, that, or the other? And then you might run into that case where it's not out there. Then what do you do?
Yeah. Do you ever is it ever difficult for you to pick something out to watch? Do you ever find yourself scrolling through your collection for like 20, 30 minutes, or do you pretty
Yeah,
easily find what you want to watch for the night?
I usually find what I want to watch pretty quickly, but every now and again you just hear just kind of looking, and really when I do that, I'm kind of picking for the future. Most times I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this tonight, and that's it. And I don't watch something from the collection every night because a lot of times it's okay. Well, you know what? Tonight's the night where my wife and I are gonna watch whatever series we're watching. And maybe that's tonight and tomorrow, and then on the next night, that's when I'll be watching a movie. So I'll be looking over here, going, "What am I gonna watch that night?" And then when
Yeah.
that night comes, I'll just grab it and pop it in.
I do find it's easier for some reason to just look through my collection and figure out exactly what I want to watch for the night than it is
Yeah,
to scroll on a streaming service. I don't know why. Maybe it's because streaming service will like have pictures and trailers and stuff playing,
yeah,
and you get
yeah, and it's
distracted.
you got all
I don't
that
know.
distraction, and no matter how many movies you have, most groups streaming services have a lot more, and it's
Yeah,
very
so you're just
easy.
like, what's in your collection, but it's like, what's on this,
Right, what's on that, and it's very easy to just hit that button and go, okay, let's keep going to the right. Let's just keep going and see what I might be missing. Something over here I might want to see.
Yeah, and sometimes that pays off.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes you've
Sometimes it
settled,
does.
maybe your wife and you have settled on a movie that you're gonna watch, you're like, "Maybe let's scroll 5 more movies over. Oh, damn, I really wanna watch this one."
Right,
And then you get
right,
into that.
exactly.
Do you ever watch something on streaming that you know you have in the collection, but you just like,
Yeah,
I don't wanna get up and put that in. I'm just gonna hit the
I've,
start
I've
button."
I've done that before. I usually do it if somebody else is watching with me,
Yeah.
because if I have 2 or 3 more people here to watch it, and it's like, all right, even though for me
Is your
it's a
wife in the physical media too?
no, no,
Okay.
she knows I have it. I
She
think
ever
she
try to dog
assumes.
out your physical media and say, "God, it's taking so long to get through the menu and blah blah blah," and
No, what it is even though for me it's like a 2-minute process or 3-minute process,
Yeah.
I get up, I walk over to the shelf, and I grab something. It's like, you know what? You could have just clicked on play by now on whatever stream hers is on. So it's not that she's worried about the menus and all that. It's like, all right, you got to go find it and put it in, and it's like, all right, here, play.
My wife will always make fun of me every single time a disc skips or stops or something. It's like, physical media, huh? And I'll be like, damn it, I'll have to get the disc out and I'll discover there's a little like smudge on it. So I'll have to wipe
Right.
it down real quick. I'm like, damn it. Okay. So yeah, so getting into my next question, you do stream then. You do watch stuff on
Yeah,
streaming. Do you kind of do a
I do
healthy
watch.
balance of both physical and streaming?
Yeah, and a lot of times I'll watch newer stuff on streaming, um, because I don't know if I want to buy it. Sometimes,
And
like,
let's
you know
face
what?
it, there's so much exclusive content on streaming.
Yeah, you can't watch it all.
It's like, what
Can't
do you do?
buy it all.
Just miss out on everything because it doesn't have a
Yeah,
physical media release?
and in case of Netflix, that's increasingly the thing is, they don't put things on physical. So it's like if I want to see whatever their newest release is, I got to watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, and I think, the Tulsa King, which is a Paramount Plus exclusive, got announced to come out on physical yesterday.
Did it?
And
Okay.
it just, pisses me off because it's like Paramount, they still care about physical media, and though it's an exclusive show to Paramount Plus, they're putting it out physically. And then you got Disney that has all the Star Wars and Marvel shows, and it's like
Hmm.
they won't put it out. I don't like, I understand, like, if it just came out, yeah, wait a year,
Right.
give people an excuse to sign up. That's fine. But if it's been out for 4 years, like The Mandalorian season 1 almost,
Right.
it's
It's
like, what are
time.
y'all doing? Come on, put that
Yeah,
out.
I
Everybody
mean,
that signed up for Disney Plus watched that already.
yeah, they got this idea that if they put it out physically, then nobody's gonna watch this streaming service, which is nonsense.
It's just ridiculous. I hope they could be making because how many new subscribers are they getting based off of the first couple of seasons of The Mandalorian?
Right.
They might be getting some off the third, but not the first and second.
Not the first. That ship
They
has
could be
sailed.
making so much more money off of people that love the shows and would love to buy them physically to add to their collection.
Yeah. I mean, all the
So,
Star Wars, like you said, all the Star Wars shows, all the Marvel shows. And yeah, wait a year, and, let everybody give a chance to watch it. Because at this point, anybody who's watching season one of The Mandalorian, they were probably already signed up for Disney, or they weren't really all that interested in it. Just somebody said, hey, it was pretty good. You should watch it.
yeah.
Whereas other people, just want to have the Mandalorian in their collection.
Yeah, and not a bootleg version because I know
Not a
there's some of
bootleg
those
version.
floating around out
Yeah,
there
there's a lot
too.
of those. I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Do you collect any other I know we got into this a little bit earlier, but do you still collect any other types of media? Like you said you collected comic books. Do you still collect that stuff?
No, not anymore. My mom happened to my baseball collection, meaning
Oh, no.
I used to visit when I grew up. I grew up in New York. I'm in North Carolina now. I used to visit North Carolina to come see my grandparents in the summer times, and I had being that young, you just had a bunch of cards everywhere, and it's on the floor and in boxes, and it
Yeah.
wasn't really organized, at least not to her mind. So it's like she's going doing her cleaning, and I come back and all my baseball cards are gone. It's like, hey, mom, what happened? You mean all that
Did
that
she at
fluff
least
is
make
gone?
some money off of them? Jeez.
No, they were just straight to the trash.
Oh,
They were
no.
gone.
Do you think any
And
of them were worth anything, like, substantial?
I don't think I had anything like that. I may have had a few. I mean, I probably had a few cards of players who were rookies that during that time frame that were probably pretty good, but none offhand that I can really remember.
Yeah.
And my comic book collection is really my fault. I just didn't take care of it as much as I should. And at that time, I used to draw a lot. Um, so at that time, I was really getting the comic books to draw the pictures, and I read the stories, and I got into the superheroes. But I was really like, okay, looking for pictures that I can draw. So all my comic books look like crap. So that I got rid of all of those. CDs I wound up just selling because they were just taking up too much space. And I will stream music. I don't buy music anymore. I will stream music
Yeah.
all day long. So
Isn't
no,
that
I don't.
weird though, how, like, we're okay with, like, streaming, like, certain types of,
Yeah,
media, but not others? 'Cause I'm the same with music. I'm not who buys CDs and stuff.
exactly.
I maybe have a couple of vinyls that I've purchased the past few years, but that's pretty much it.
I've got
Um
one vinyl. I sold a bunch of vinyls that I got from my mom years and years and years ago before it became chic again to have vinyl. And I have one vinyl right now, and that my brother actually bought it for me because he knows I'm a big Prince fan. It was a Purple Rain vinyl, so he bought that for
Oh
me. And
yeah.
that's the only one I have.
Oh yeah. Do you play any like video games, anything like that? Because I'm the same way with those. It's like I'll just download it, if I want to play it.
I haven't been gaming in probably a
I don't
decade.
really game a lot anymore, but I was like,
Yeah,
5, 10 years
I
ago.
used to game all the time, and I was only into sports games and fighting games. Really, I never played any of the RPGs or any of those kind of games. But really, since PS2 was the last time I was really considered myself a gamer.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. It's like once you had kids, it's like the gaming just really slowed down for me.
Yeah, and believe it or not, it was more time consuming than watching a movie.
Oh
Because
yeah,
yeah, because you start playing a game and next thing you know, it's 7 hours later. It's like it's like, man, where did they go? Or
because
the
I mean,
night.
yeah, some of the games I would play, it's like 50, 60 hours you could sink into that game, and I used to be addicted to Call of Duty.
Right.
Like back in the day, I'd be up till 4:35 in the morning playing that game.
Oh,
Could
I
never stop.
understand. Even like I said, I was only playing sports games mostly, and but even then, I'd play Madden. You get into franchise mode, and you're playing a season. It's like, okay, one more game, and then you get that game, and maybe it didn't go quite the way you want. Oh, one more. I can get one more game in, and then yeah,
Yeah,
it's 4 or 5 in the morning. It's crazy.
it's definitely easier to just click pause on a movie and be like, "I'll get to this tomorrow. I'll
Right.
pick it up
Right.
tomorrow." Uh, let's see. What's some of your favorite? I see a couple of good box sets. What's some of your favorite box sets you got in your collection?
The short scope back here is one of my favorites. Or matter of fact, all three of these are some of my favorites. Got the short
That's
scope
the
here, Bruce Lee.
Criterion Bruce Lee, isn't it?
That is the Criterion Bruce Lee, and there is that's another Criterion there. Once Upon a Time in China. Uh, Another one right here is the Batman Steelbook set. It's got
Oh yeah, that's nice.
the two Tim Burton Batmans and the two Joel Schumacher ones. And
Now, are those your? Is that your? What's your favorite Batman movie? I know you're big into Batman.
the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's it's
Is it The Dark Knight? Okay.
can't be beat. But there are a lot of good Batman movies. Speaking of Batman, here's a couple more. These are all animated 18 movie set animated movies,
Damn.
and
The original
the
TV
original
show.
TV show. So yeah, I got a lot of Batman stuff. I've got the Nightmare on Elm Street box set, DVD set. That I believe it's the same one you're talking about. I'm just gonna reach up and grab it here.
You got that? Yeah, I got it over there.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that I think that came out 2004. I
Is
believe it was somewhere around that time. I remember buying it at Suncoast Video, and it was like $160 or something when it came out. Or
wow. I
I
paid.
I think it was because those freaking Suncoast would charge you out the butt, and it's like back then you didn't know how to get this stuff anywhere else. Like
I
I wasn't
actually
online buying anything back in 2004. Like I could only find stuff in stores.
It wasn't 2004 when I got mine. I want to say like 7 or 8, but I just happened to walk into a Best Buy and it was just sitting there. It was like $50.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was 120, but I know it was over 100 that I paid for it. And I think I was 19 or 20 when I got it. But those movies were like the first horror franchise I fell in love with. I probably watched those when I was like 7 or 8, and I just watched them over and over again. So
Yeah,
I knew I had to have it when I saw it.
Friday came first for me. Friday the 13th came first for me. But
Friday
yeah,
was very shortly after, but
yeah, Nightmare hadn't even come out when I saw it Friday the 13th. But yeah, so it was in the order that it was. There's another box that I really like. This is the Arrow set, Park Chan Wook
oh,
trilogy of
nice.
Vengeance.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any of these? Old Boy is the one that everybody's seen.
Yeah, I have not seen them. I know I need to see Old Boy. I need to watch Park Chan Wook. What has he done recently? Because I feel like I have seen one of his movies.
He did The Handmaiden. He did a movie called Stoker. Was his American movie was Stoker. He did a
I
movie
think I have
last
that
year.
one.
I
Nicole
don't know the
Kidman.
name of it. Say it
He did
again.
not. I keep thinking he did. Oh, I Saw the Devil. He didn't do that one though, did he?
No, he didn't do I Saw the Devil. Um, he did Thirst was a vampire movie. He did that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, The Handmaiden was his big one that I think it got some Academy Award nominations or something. But that
Yeah,
was
I haven't seen that one. But I am, yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I just feel like I've seen one of his, but maybe I haven't. I need to watch Old Boy. I do have it on Blu-ray. Somebody
okay.
sent it to me, so I need to check it
Well,
out for sure. You wouldn't recommend the remake though that Spike Lee did, would you?
no, I wouldn't. I'm a Spike Lee fan. I'm a huge Spike Lee fan.
Yeah, yeah.
Now,
That's
if
kind of weird that he did that.
he was a fan of the movie, and then
Yeah,
studio asked him to do it, so he did it. And then, according to him and Josh Brolin, who's in the movie, the studio then just kept meddling and came around and really chopped the movie down. Because
yeah.
according to Spike Lee and Josh Brolin, there's a 3-hour cut of this movie somewhere. Um,
Wow.
and they chopped it down. It's like an hour and 45 minutes or something like that. And it's not, according to them, what they made. So I'd be curious to see what that movie was. But yeah, as it is, even though I have it, even as it is, though, no, I wouldn't recommend that one. Go with the original.
Yeah, I need to get more into Asian cinema for sure. I think I've only seen Bong Joon Ho's movies, but
He's got some good ones. Yeah.
besides that, it's a huge gap for me for sure. So you said you enjoy a good steelbook. What are some of your favorite steelbooks? What are your top 5 steelbooks? You don't have to get up and show them off if you don't
That's
want to,
cool.
but
American Psycho, of course, is a fantastic one. And another Lionsgate one, Punisher Warzone, I got recently. That's a really good one.
that's a great one.
Yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Uh,
It's hard these days when somebody said, "What's your favorite steelbooks?" You just start rattling off Lionsgate ones because they're like
pretty much.
they're the king.
That was good. Speaking of another one, Angel Heart, that was a great one.
Yeah,
Um, Heathers. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Heathers. Um,
yeah. The Winona Ryder, Christian
yeah,
Slater.
yeah, that's got
I
a
haven't seen
gorgeous
that one
steelbook.
either, but
Yeah, but it's got a gorgeous steelbook, and there's another one. There's so many out there.
do you collect a lot of the Marvel and uh, DC steelbooks and stuff like that? Have you collected all the Marvel steelbooks?
No, it's one of those things. I do have like Infinity War's got a great steelbook. Even Endgame's got a pretty good one. But
Yeah,
I didn't at the time when I was buying them. Most of those I have on just Blu-ray, regular Blu-ray. I do have a few of the steelbooks, and it's one
same
of those
here. I've
things.
got most of the MCU I got on Blu-ray still. I haven't upgraded.
It's if I've come across it pretty cheap for 4K, which you usually don't because it's Disney.
Yeah.
I'll grab it. Maybe if I see it out secondhand somewhere, but yeah, most of those I just have on regular blue.
I haven't even upgraded Star Wars to 4K. Like I still just have that little 6-film collector set on Blu-ray.
I
And
have just those on Blu-ray. That's something I did double dip on, and that's only because I was out thrift shopping and this is separate occasions. I came across the original trilogy steelbooks for like $1 or $2, and it's like, oh well, I've got to grab that. Why not?
yeah, I mean $1 or 2. Shoot,
Yeah,
that's
so
a good
I
price.
wound up with all 3 of the original Star Wars plus I think the Phantom Menace, yeah, plus the Phantom Menace steelbooks for total maybe $6 for the 4 of them.
Yeah, I do have the Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker and Solo on 4K, but
Hey,
that's it.
I like Solo more than other people. So
It's definitely better than Rise of Skywalker.
yeah,
I
yeah,
will
it's
give it
definitely better
that.
than that. Yeah.
Probably, I don't know. I have a lot of nostalgia for Attack of the Clones, but I'd say it's probably a better movie than Attack of the Clones.
I hate Attack of the Clones. I can't stand that one. It was
Well, I know
C-SPAN in
you're a
space.
little bit older than me, so when it came out, you were probably in your 20s. I don't know
Yeah.
how deep does your Star Wars fandom go? Are you a pretty big
I
Star Wars
saw
fan?
all of the original trilogy in theaters. So and
Nice.
I've been there since
I
the
did
beginning.
too, but it was the special editions that I saw.
No, I saw them in their original run, their initial run in theaters, and one of my biggest theater memories is Empire Strikes Back and being there when we get the big reveal about Darth Vader, and my jaw just kind of
That had to be
dropping.
something, didn't it?
Yeah, it was one of those things, where it happened, and then we all kind of looked at each other like, did he just say that? And I was, only 9 at the time, so it was like, wheels start spinning in in here, and then after the movie, I'm talking about it with my parents and people, the cousins. We all went together, so that was one of
That's
my
crazy.
big theater experiences.
What a damn twist. What a
Yeah,
twist.
yeah.
I feel like I had that spoiled for me because I remember watching Return of the Jedi all the time on TV when I was a kid.
Hmm.
And I never really like watched all of them in their entirety until those special editions came out, and my dad took me to see them all in theaters.
Hmm.
So I was like 12 when those came out. I think it was 97. And so I feel like I already knew about the whole Luke, I'm your
Yeah, I
father
mean,
thing before,
it's
but
pop
it still
culture
was an
osmosis.
impactful
You learn it.
moment.
Yeah, through pop culture osmosis, you just learn it by that point. By now, it's
I mean,
everybody
that's
kind of
that's my
knows.
favorite movie of all time is Empire Strikes Back.
Great movie.
That's how you do a continuation of a franchise, but also lead into, the conclusion. It's just a
Yeah,
perfectly constructed film. And
yeah.
it's got some of my favorite moments in it
That's
ever.
one of the things that Marvel doesn't always get quite right, because they're always trying to lead into the next movie, but it's not an organic thing. It's just, here's
Especially
the
not
movie.
now.
Yeah, especially now, it's like, here's the movie, and then we're gonna tack on this scene that you have to sit through the credits for to
Yeah.
tell you what's gonna happen in the next movie.
You gotta have some kind of a focus and end game, no pun intended
Right.
for your it feels like lately Marvel's just like meandering and just wandering through all these movies, and there's no like clear vision, or they say there's a vision and goal, but it's like you don't feel that when you watch the
Yeah,
movies now.
it
You felt it
yeah.
back with Infinity War and Endgame and all those.
I think the movies aren't as strong on the whole in this phase. Phase 4, now getting ready for phase 5.
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem. Because if you just go back and watch the original, phase 1, it took a while for that focus to come into play then also, but the movies were better. So we
Oh
didn't
yeah.
need as much.
I love the first Avenger, Captain America. That's one of my favorites of the whole franchise.
Yeah,
And the
because
first Iron Man.
yeah, and I mean, phase 1, really the goal was it wasn't getting to Thanos. It was just, okay, we're gonna set up all these movies, and then we're gonna make an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
And that kind of seemed to be the case for phase 1 and phase 2. Um, but it took a while for all those. But if the movies for phase 4 has been as good as the ones in phase 1, then we wouldn't mind as much, I don't think.
No, probably not. It's all too goofy and cartoony at this point. It just felt more within like the real world
Yeah,
back in the first
yeah.
ones. They just all felt more grounded in
Yeah, and
reality.
I think the Thor movies, especially Love and Thunder, just kind of
I had a good time with that in the theaters, but like maybe an hour after I saw it, I was like, that really just wasn't good.
yeah. It was funny because I was watching it and it was like, every time they go to Thor and everybody, on the good guy's side, it was all slapstick and just ridiculous
Yeah.
humor. And then every time they switch over to Christian Bale, it was like we just turned on to a whole different movie. It was like it's
It's
like,
the same problem with the new Ant-Man movie. It was so
yeah,
goofy, but then you had Jonathan Majors as Kang, who's being like super serious the whole
yeah,
movie. So it's such a conflicting tones. But
yeah, yeah. They've got to get that in check.
yeah, for sure. So in closing, because I'll let you go here in a second, but what's your thoughts on the state of physical media today? Do you think it's healthy? Do you think it's ending anytime soon? Where do you see things as far as where we're going with it today?
I don't think it's ending, but I think it is downsizing. It
Yeah.
and it's clear, every time you walk into a Walmart, a Best Buy, a Target, there's a little less space for physical media. Seemingly every month when you walk into those stores, uh, I have 2 Best Buys within 20 minutes of me. One is about 3 minutes from my house. They renovated that one last summer, and after the renovation, physical media was completely gone. The other one is still pretty stocked up, but my Walmart's there's a little less space. It was section 3 rows wide, and then it was 2 rows, and then it's 1 row, and then it's half a row, and then it's just the standee that's out in the middle of the aisle.
Yeah.
Same with Target. Um, but there are enough people out there who actually want the movies that they're still gonna make them, and smart companies are gonna make a profit, so they'll keep churning them out. But it's definitely becoming more and more niche as we go forward. Eventually, with Walmart and Best Buy, Target, I think it's going to be either all DVDs, especially for Walmart, but it'll be like all DVDs in store, and you'll have to go on their website to buy other things. And most of what we do, we're going to have to buy online, and we're already going that way. A lot of stuff we're buying
Yeah.
online and not going out to stores to get anyway. And then at some point, there'll be some kind of resurgence like vinyl has, and then more people kind of get
That's what I was
into
gonna ask. Do you ever think it'll have a resurgence like vinyl, like books? Do you see that?
yeah, at
Do you
some
see
point.
them as? Do you see books as the same thing as movies and physical media? I guess what I'm asking.
Yeah, it goes in cycles. So at some point it's gonna come back where it's like more people will get into it for a while, and it might become the chic thing. But when it does that, generally prices go up even further. So
Yeah.
my big concern is that all these boutique labels don't price the collectors out. Because not everybody's as rich as mid-level media, and we can't all buy $50 Blu-rays.
Hey, there was a time when I wasn't buying much at all back in the day. But yeah, I'm running wild now. I am
Yeah.
running wild. It's true. Um, but yeah, it is strange. I think about this kind of stuff a lot too, and about the future generations. And what do you think it would take to get them back into wanting to collect movies? Because I feel like you have to have a real like love for this stuff and appreciation, not just for the new movies, but like all the movies that came before it. And I feel like there's so much content now with streaming and even stuff coming out in the theaters. But is the quality there like it used to be? Are people ever really gonna be into movies like they were in the 90s and 80s and even early 2000s? Because the mainstream stuff today, not talking about indie stuff, there's a lot of great indie movies that come out,
Right.
but it's just not of that quality that it used to be back then. So I feel like that has to improve for sure to get people back in the movies, back into the movies like in the way we were when we grew up.
It does, and it's hard because now movies and TV are almost on the same playing field. I
Yeah,
mean,
for sure.
there's the big stuff, the big tent movies, big blockbuster movies. Yeah, there's still theater experiences, but so many movies, you don't really always know which ones are independent, which ones are studio. You just know what streaming service is on. And on those streaming services, there's also a lot of original TV shows. So it's like, do I feel like a series now? Do I feel like a movie now? So I think it's just people into watching things. So I don't know if as many people will be into just movies, for
Yeah.
instance. And I guess it kind of takes a mindset of people who want to get into something and get out of it quicker than a series. It's like, do I really want to spend weeks watching this series? Maybe even a whole weekend binging whatever series it is, or do I just want to watch something for a couple of hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, and far as collecting goes, again, it just goes back to people who have that collector's gene. It's like, yeah, it's easy out there, but I want to have it. And there's always going to be people like that. It just may not be as many as when we were younger.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like a big thing with collecting too is having the movie in the best possible quality.
Yeah.
But when 60% of the people are buying DVDs, they're probably not seeing that quality.
No,
And you
they're
watch
getting the
Netflix and all
price.
that stuff is streaming in like HD and
Hmm.
UHD. So they're in their minds are like streaming looks better than DVD. So why would I,
Yeah,
collect
yeah,
these movies? And they're
yeah,
not like making that correlation. You can
yeah.
buy these
Because
on Blu-ray or 4K and they look better.
most people who are buying the DVDs, I mean, they're just making a business choice. You go in the store and it's like, Well, there's a DVD copy for $15. There's the Blu-ray for
Yeah.
20 or 25, and then there's the 4K for 30 or 35. Which one do I want today? I'm just gonna get the cheap one. I don't really care that you can see, some so and so's back tooth when he opens his mouth. That's not really my concern. I just want to see the movie and see the story.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a business choice at that point.
Yeah.
And for them, streaming it is perfectly fine, and that's going to be for most people.
Have you gotten to the point where you're only buying 4K and Blu-ray, or do you still collect DVDs, like when you go to the thrifting stores and stuff?
I'd say I'm 95%, maybe 98% 4K and Blu-ray as far as my purchases go. But if I come across something that I know is not on Blu-ray
Yeah.
and I really want it, then I'll go ahead and grab it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. If I'm in the store and I'll see something, I was like, does this have a Blu-ray? And I'll look it up. I'm like, if it doesn't have a Blu-ray, I'll go ahead and grab it. Because
Right,
ultimately
exactly.
for me, like, I just want to have an archive of like film history. And
Mhm.
some of these DVDs may never come to Blu-ray.
May never,
So
yeah.
you don't want to miss
Exactly.
out on that, one film that you could have in your collection that, could be lost in film history at some point. Because there's a
Exactly.
lot of movies on VHS that haven't made the jump to DVD even. So, I mean, it
Mhm.
just a lot of stuff's getting lost these days for sure.
Yeah, somebody did a study on that, and they had some crazy number. It was like 30 or 40% of movies from VHS never made it to DVD, and then there was a
Yeah.
percentage that never made it from DVD to Blue, and so on and so forth. So we keep losing movies as we get more physical media.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a scary thing for sure.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more question before I let you go. So you notoriously hate the movie Home Alone. Okay, I had to bring this up. I'm sorry. You just watched it for the first time, what, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, over last Christmas season.
Do you? What I want to ask you is, do you ever envision a world where Dell loves Home Alone and he watches it every Christmas? Or are you gonna watch it again? I guess is what I'm asking.
I might watch it again.
Are you gonna watch
Maybe
the sequel?
I might watch the sequel just because everybody tells me sequel's so great. So I might watch it. Um,
And you live in New York, right?
Not now. I grew up there, but I'm in North
Okay,
Carolina
okay,
right now.
okay. I was gonna
But I
say you might
do,
have nostalgia for growing up in New York. It's set in New
yeah,
York.
I do know it's in New York. Um, but then I've also heard people say, "Well, it's pretty much the same as the first." I'm like, do I want to sit through that again? And I
I
think
don't think it's the same. There's more characters in it. It's funner, I think.
right. I think the problem is really I came to it at way too old,
Yeah.
and because like I said, I just saw it last year. Um, Even when it came out, I mean, I was in my 20s, but it probably would have been more. I probably would have been more susceptible to liking it at that time, and also build up some nostalgia for it. But then when I saw it last year, it was like this ain't what everybody's cracking it up to be.
Hey, we all have those movies. I feel that way about the Goonies.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I'd never watched the Goonies growing up for whatever reason. I just always skipped out on it, and I watched it a few years ago, and I did not enjoy it at all. I was like, why does everyone hold this up as one of the best kids movies from the '80s? I don't
yeah,
get it.
exactly. But by the same token, last year I also watched Jingle All the Way for the first time, but I really like that one. I love that one, and
That's
that's
a fun
probably
one. That's almost
yeah,
impossible not to at least like. Like that's not in like my top tier Christmas movies, but I
right.
always enjoy watching it. Just
Yeah,
a fun movie.
I think it have something more to do with a dad trying to get stuff for his kids. So that more up my alley.
Yeah, that I think that does have something to do with it because you are spending most of Home Alone from the kid's perspective. So if you don't have
Mhm.
that perspective as an entry point, like you weren't a kid when you watched it, then it's hard for that to really hold any special meaning for you.
Right.
But I'm sorry, I just had to give you a little crap
Nah,
for
it's
that
all good.
for a second. But we are kindred spirits in the fact that we both love A Christmas Story. So
Exactly.
at least we have that and have respect for it as one of the greatest Christmas movies ever made.
Exactly.
Did you watch the sequel on
I
HBO
I
Max?
didn't, and not because I didn't want to. I just ran out of time doing a lot of things. So
I'd say
I do
watch it
plan on
next
watching
year.
it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it this coming up Christmas
It kind
season.
of blew my mind a little bit because I was like, how do you do a sequel to Christmas Stories? Like this isn't going to work. But it really felt it gave me those Christmas Story like feelings. Like it really
Okay.
felt in line with the first one. Didn't feel like a cheap cash grab or gimmick at all. I really enjoyed it a lot. But Dell, man, I appreciate you coming on World's Biggest Collectors, episode 51. It was a great conversation, getting to know you and getting to know you as a collector. Before we get out of here, I'm going to let you kind of promote yourself and your channel one more time. Let everybody know what you're all about. Maybe what you got coming up. Maybe give us a tease what's coming up on Dell on Movies in the future. Floor is yours, sir.
All right. Well, first, I want to say thank you, Ken, for even thinking of me to invite me. I appreciate it. Had a great time talking to you, as I usually do, because you're a fun guy. And
I appreciate
uh,
that.
yeah, on my channel, more movie swaps pretty much every Tuesday, unless something comes up. Hopefully, we'll get you in there pretty soon.
Absolutely.
And
Just let me know.
yeah, and just more videos where I'm ranking things or showing off what I bought or get into some other conversations as they come up. I haven't thought of them all. So when they come up, I'll let you guys know. But really, the main thing is the movie swap right now every week and just the random videos that come up. Like Ken said, I did a video recently where I ranked all of my superhero content that I watched from 2022. And I've got some more ranking videos out. Hopefully, I'll be doing another Scream ranking video because I did just see Scream 6 recently and things like that. And as I'm saying this, I'm a little bit away from 200 subscribers. So once I get there, I'll be doing a giveaway. So throw me a subscribe
Yeah.
and you might win something.
Yeah, definitely. I will have all your links down below in the description. YouTube, Instagram. I don't know if you're on TikTok yet. Is Dell on TikTok yet?
Not on TikTok. I gotta polish off the dance moves.
All right, we need some of those videos, but definitely, guys, I would encourage you to go subscribe to Dell on Movies. You have a great knowledge of movies and collecting, and there's definitely some unique stuff on your channel that you're not going to find anywhere else. Especially, if you're a kung fu fan, you're really into the kung fu movies and genre. So definitely encourage you to go check out Dell from Dell on Movies. But thank you, everyone who watched us today. If you have anything to comment, leave us a comment down below, and then like this video. That's always nice if people like
Always.
the videos, and definitely subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, but also more importantly, Dell on Movies. And we will see you all later.
All right. Bye.